Where were all of us exactly? Because the last time I checked, this is the first time of me being in this world. This is my first time of interacting with my fellow humans. So where was I exactly that before God now created this world, he knew me, loved me, and chose me? Where was I? When I was in secondary school, SS1 to be precise, I lived in the hostel, like the boarding school, and one fateful morning we went to have our bath in the bait house. So this girl walked up to me. She was my friend anyways. She walked up to me and she was telling me what she's going through. She said she's having menstrual cramps or menstrual pain. She was telling me what happens to her. She said when the thing comes like this, she starts vomiting, she starts rolling on the ground, she will be crying, shouting. She said it's as if they are using something to choke her, and that she has a particular drug she takes, that if she does not take that drug, she's going to die that day. And she said so many things, and I'm like, hey, is it not the same menses that I'm seeing? Like, why am I not experiencing pain? She said, and I should put myself in her shoes. I should just try and imagine what she's going through and all of that and all of that. So I sympathized with her, like, and we went to prepare for school. Throughout that day, I couldn't focus on anything. I couldn't focus in class. I was putting myself in her shoes. I was trying to imagine, like, how is someone going through all of this where me, like, there's nothing like that happening to me. So is her case different or blah 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 and all that? So I was imagining the whole day. I was focusing. I was imagining myself, seeing my period and they are tricking me like this. I was imagining myself seeing my period and I'm taking drugs. I was imagining myself seeing my period and I'm vomiting and I'm crying and I'm shouting. I was like, wow, this girl must be going through a lot. Guess what happened? This was shocking. The next time I saw my period, everything that girl said happens to her started happening to me. Oh God, you can't even believe this. Everything she described. You see that pain that they are doing like this, I see they are tricking you. I started experiencing it. I was vomiting. I was, if not that, the way I vomited, if not that, I don't know what man is, then I would have thought maybe I was pregnant. I was throwing up. I was vomiting. I was shouting. I was screaming. I was rolling on the ground. Everything she described started happening to me. That very day, I cannot forget. They had to take me home. They said before I die in their school, they had to take me home. So it was my mom who took care of me and all of that. Now, from that SS1 down to this year, I have been experiencing that menstrual pain. So I started testing drugs until I found one drug, ibuprofen. That was the only drug that was able to lessen the pain. So it became my love. I had ibuprofen in packs. Like, I never lacked it at home because this is the cure to this menstrual cramp. And then I was reading and hearing so many things, medical advice on not using ibuprofen because it can damage the liver, a big kidney, something like that. But I couldn't stop. This is the only drug that makes me feel good, like making me feel well. So I started experiencing those things going forward. So I now told myself that, okay, it is normal. Menstrual cramps is normal. Or should I begin to talk about the series of embarrassments and whatever that this menstrual cramp has cost me? Oh God, I remember one day in the church, I was seated down in the church. This is like 3,000 people in a hall or even more. So I started experiencing menstrual cramp there in the church, and I was turning. All of a sudden, I just stood up in the church. And immediately I stood up, everybody looked at me. Pastor was preaching. He looked at me like, I could read their minds, like, this girl is possessed or she's looking for attention. Maybe she thinks she's beautiful. That is why. A lot of things. But I stood up and, oh Jesus, I was embarrassed. So the woman by my side, thank God for her, she asked me, are you having menstrual cramp? I said yes. So she took me out and she pets me and blah blah blah, and nursed me and all of that. Now this is the point. This is like 1 out of 1,000 occasions where this menstrual cramp has embarrassed me, like when I went out without my drugs. Do you understand? What I'm telling you now started from my SS1 over the years. It's like 10 years plus. Now this very year, something happened. One day I went to work and I forgot to take my drug with me, and it started at my workplace. Jesus, fire for fire. Oh God, I started vomiting. I knelt down. It's so embarrassing that you cannot help yourself. If you experience menstrual pain, you know what I'm talking about. You cannot help yourself. Like, okay, fine. So I told one of my colleagues to help me rush and go and buy this particular drug. They went, they came back, they said there's no even chemist around. They even used bike to go to a place. They did not see where to buy that drug from. Oh God, I had to go home that day. I couldn't walk that day, I had to go home. When I got to my house, I was so angry. Like for the first time, I was so angry. I was vexed. I was like, how can menstrual cramp be doing this kind of thing to me? You don't just embarrass me, you put me in so much pain. Everybody around me must know that something is happening to this girl. I said no. So I decided to pray about it for the first time, like pray about it very well for the first time. And I was asking God questions. I said, why is this thing happening to me? If I remember very well, when I started seeing my period, I don't know what pain is. I saw my period for like 2-3 years down the line. I do not know what pain is until one girl told me what she's going through, and I started, going through the same thing. What is the problem? Tell me what the problem is so that I can trash it out once and for all. That was what my prayer was about. And God took me back to that SS1 and started to remind me the things I was doing unconsciously. He started reminding me how I put myself in her shoes, and I was imagining myself going through menstrual cramp. I was imagining myself vomiting. I was imagining myself taking drugs, and if I don't take drugs 2 days before the day, I will die, I will this, I will that. I was imagining myself rolling on the ground. My imaginations. So he took me back to my imaginations. I was not like, is this the cause of the problem? So he began to open my eyes to so many things I'm going to be teaching you in this video. Now, first of all, God is big on imagination. The devil is big on imagination too. I'm going to be showing you how. In the book of Jeremiah, God said, before I formed you, I knew you. So I was asking myself, knew me? How do you know someone that is not existing? Like, how do you know me before you formed me? I mean, I have not come and you say you know me. Now, I kept that aside. And then when I saw the book of Ephesians 1:4, God said, before the foundations of this world, I have loved you and I have chosen you in Christ. Further confusion. Wait, first of all, you say you know me. Now, you said before you even created the world, you have loved me. You have chosen me. That means I must have been somewhere. Because you cannot love and know and choose someone that you have not seen. Where was I exactly? Where were all of us exactly? Because the last time I checked, this is the first time of me being in this world. This is my first time of interacting with my fellow humans. So where was I exactly? That before God now created this world, he knew me, loved me, and chose me. Where was I? I must have been somewhere. We must have been somewhere. Where exactly were we? And then it dawned on me that we existed in the imaginations of God. We existed in the imaginations of God. He had imagined us. That's why he said, let us make man in our image and after our likeness. He had a mental picture of what he wanted to achieve. And not just for us humans. Even the birds of the air, the fishes, the trees, when God was done creating, the Bible said he looked at everything he has created and he said, this is good. That means this is giving, this is going, this is exactly as I had pictured, this is what I had in my mind, that this fish will be like this, that this one will be like this, the bird will have wings and have tail at the back, human being will look like this, let the tree look, oh Jesus, he had imagined everything first. That was why after creation he said everything was good. So that means he was comparing it to something. And what was that something? Something he had in his mind. That is how important your imaginations are. Your imaginations have the power to create your reality. So I am trying to show you how underrated your imaginations are and how you're misusing it. Look at what happened in Genesis about the people that tried to build a tower to reach the heavens. Now, factually speaking, to you and I, it doesn't look possible. Because do you know where the heavens are? At least those astronauts and those people that used to go there, they will tell you the depths and all of that. But that is your business, because these people have seen that it is possible. They have imagined it. That's why they say, let us make bricks and make this and make that so that we'll get to the top of the heavens. And guess what? God looked down and said, these people that have imagined this kind of thing, nothing shall be impossible unto them. God affirmed. That means even God could not stop it because they had imagined it. So it is to you that it is impossible. To them, they have finished building it. Do you see? Remember in the Bible when Jesus Christ said, if you look at a woman lustfully, you have committed adultery. I mean, why? That is because Jesus Christ knows and he admits and he admits that your imagination is as potent as your reality. He knows that you can get any job done by just imagining something and focusing on it. That is why he said, casting down every imagination that is trying to exalt itself above the knowledge of God. So in that verse, when he was talking about stronghold, he's not talking about your village people or people or your enemies. He's talking about your imaginations, those imaginations that have built story building in your mind. That is just your life. You will begin to live according to whatever you have imagined. That is why the Bible also said you should guard your heart with all diligence. Every strength in you, guide your heart, because out of it flows the issues of life. Out of it flows your life. Whatever the outcome of your life is, it starts from your heart. It starts from whatever you give entrance or not. That is why I gatekeep my heart. I'm the gate man of my heart. I don't let rubbish enter my mind anymore. I don't entertain negative thoughts, negative imaginations. Even when the devil comes to want to like suggest things to me, you are not entering. Is that you're not entering because I'm the gate man here. You are not entering. But I use my mind and my imaginations to dream big. So I use my imaginations for useful things. I use my imaginations to dream and imagine big things according to the confines of my purpose here on earth. So you can do the same thing to stop wasting your imagination. This your imagination is a gold mine. It is rich, it is big. Out of this your imagination is your life. Whatever the outcome of your life is, it starts from here. So use your imagination to dream, to imagine things that are within the confines of your purpose. If you're meant to be a singer, don't go and be imagining yourself choking someone an injection, because that is not your field. That's why I said you must imagine within the confines of your purpose. This is what I do. Once I have an imagination, I have a book where I write them down. Some of the things I imagine, they are even bigger than me. But I know that so long as I imagine it and I focus on it daily, it must surely happen, even if it tarries. So I write those things in my notebook. Whatever I imagine within the confines of my purpose, I write them. Every morning. I feed them, I imagine them, I create mental pictures with them, because I know that they will definitely come to pass. I was listening to one of Bishop Oyedepo's message. I think it was an interview, and I don't know what they asked him. I can't remember what they asked him, but this was his response. He said, I would have been surprised if I am not here today. He would have been surprised. He now said, back in those days when he was living with his friends, because he didn't even have an apartment of his own, he was sharing with, I think, 4 of his friends. Back in those days, he said he has imagined a life like this. He had imagined winners. If you know the exploits that man has commanded, and if you compare it to where he's coming from, you will understand the power of imagination, feeding your imagination and focusing on it. He said he would have been surprised. That means if he's not here today, he would have been surprised because he imagined it years back. I read about the Wright brothers, those boys that invented plane. I read a little documentary about them, what they had to go through to get to that point. They said they faced series of discouragement. In fact, people refused to fund them. People refused to help them financially because they said, you are crazy. This thing is impossible. They told them about the law of gravitation, whatever goes up must come down. They discouraged them from all angles, but these brothers pressed on. They said, this thing is possible. They studied the bed. They said this thing can be done. So despite the discouragement and everything and the laughter and the mockery, they had imagined something. They said it is possible. And that was how me and you began to enjoy flight today. Someone's imagination that he stayed on and started working towards it. Now, you don't just imagine and drop it. As you imagine, you must take steps towards it. Let me even mention that. Have you also noticed that those things that do not easily beset you are the ones that you don't give relevance to in your mind? Those are the ones that you don't even think about, send them. Those are the things that will likely not get you. But those ones that you have fantasized in your head, you have thought about it, you have pictured, oh my God, you have pictured, those are the ones. The chances for you not to fall into that sin is half. And the chances for you to fall into that sin is 99.5. You will in most times fall into that sin because you have given it relevance first in your mind. You have done it according to what Jesus said. You have already gotten the job done. Use your imagination for useful things. Stop allowing garbage get into your mind. Stop letting the devil suggest anything the devil suggests to you. Just believe the opposite. The word of God is there for you. Use it to feed your imaginations. Look at what God has said about it. Let it be only that matters. As you see me like this, I'm the last person you want to use your words and depress. In fact, when you say anything that does not sound like it, I do the opposite, because you are not the person who manufactured me. The person who manufactured me is the one who has my template. It is what he says that matters to me, not you. You're a fellow product like myself. The way I was created was the way you were created. So why would you come and dictate to me or tell me? Do you understand? You now come and tell me that I look like this, or I'm like this, or I cannot make it, or I cannot do it. You that is a fellow product like myself, the way I was created is the way you were created. You now feel like you have the right to tell me my life, to tell me that I am not enough, to tell me I am insufficient, to tell me I cannot do it. You that is a fellow product like myself. I mean, it doesn't make sense. Why are you listening to someone that was created just like you were created, instead of listening to the person that created you? It is God that has your manual. He's the manufacturer. He's the one who has your manual, not your fellow products. Hello, not your fellow products. So it baffles me when someone come and tell you something, you now sit down, you will cry, you will remember it, you will turn on your bed, you'll be like this, you'll be thinking of what your fellow product said to you. It is well. I started this story from, the whole menstrual thing. I am glad to announce to you that I no longer have menstrual cramps. The moment my eye opened after that incident of not finding drugs, the moment God opened me up to this truth was the day I walked out of menstrual cramp free of charge. I understood that those things started to happen to me because I imagined them, and I imagined them to the point that I wanted to actually wear those shoes unconsciously. I wanted to know what this girl is going through, and they started happening to me. So I was trapped for more than 10 years because of what I gave room to enter my head, because of my imagination, that I focused on it. I wasn't even paying attention in class. I wasn't paying attention doing anything. I was just imagining what this this girl was going through and all of that. So use your mind wisely. This your mind is so rich and wealthy. This mind, I call it a gold mine. Your mind is rich. Use your mind, guard it diligently, like the Bible said, because out of it flows the issues, the outcomes, the happenings of your life. This is the end of this video. Until my next video. Bye.